like to call this regular city council meeting of October 26, 2015 to order. And we do like to start with the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call shows all are present.
Except Bob.
Well, yeah. I meant among the council, but I'm sure Lynn will fill in for Bob on anything. Approval of minutes for October 12th. That was a boatload.
I move the minutes.
Support.
Further discussion? Good job, Lisa. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Okay, approval of bills, we don't have any. So, approval of agenda.
I have no additions or deletions.
I'll move the agenda.
Support.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Public comment. This time, anybody wishes to speak on anything that is not listed on the agenda, may do so. State your name and address.
Bruce Nussbaum, 525 Willow Drive. I'd like to take a minute, because I haven't been here for a while, on behalf of Operation Injured Soldiers. It's a great organization that began here in South Lyon. We now have a retreat up in Pellston, Michigan, 250 acres for hunting, fishing, sporting events, just recreation for injured soldiers, injured veterans. We even have retreats where we have it on a weekend for all women injured veterans. And we also have to do a lot more fundraising now because we have to have a caretaker up there and we have grounds to maintain. We have a 17-room house. We have 2 kitchens. We have a lot of hunting facilities. And we have canisters, and you may have seen them in a South Lyon bakery or in Lucas. Now, we have a lot more canisters, and if there are any business people interested, I would be happy to go around and leave them there. And I'd like to leave some brochures up here on Brave Hearts Estates, because it's a really great thing. It's been active all year. We took over July 1st. We had a lot of people up there repainting the place, putting in wheelchair facilities. We have track chairs up there. We have everything that to bring the injured veterans out into the field to do what they're used to doing, to give them peace of mind and something to do in recreation. So I left some brochures for anybody that would like them. And if they call our office, I'm sure they'll get in touch with me, and I'll be happy to bring them canisters. I will say that the canisters that we have out, they fill up all the time because people in South Lyon are very patriotic. And I want to thank you for your support.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Bruce.
Bruce.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, we can move on to old business, which is to consider approval of the finalized roadway asset management plan.
Jonathan?
State your name and who you were from and all that.
Sure. John Booth with Hubble, Roth, and Clark. I have no fancy presentation for you folks tonight. I think we've talked about this a couple different times. I think the goal at hand tonight is, if you guys find it acceptable, to approve that asset management plan so we can ship it off to the Traffic Asset Management Council, get that checklist, check that box, get that thing off our to-do list, and then proceed on with trying to find funding to get road projects done. So happy to answer any questions you guys may have.
I mean, this is everything that we've been asking for, so I'll be glad to not have another 33 pages of the same stuff they've printed it for everybody.
Well, I'll make the motion then to adopt the roadway asset management plan and authorize the submission to the state.
I'll second.
I have a question. Go ahead, Joe.
Oh, at this time, it's discussion time, yes.
Yeah, I do have a question. I
Oh,
know.
that's why I had a question.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so this,
Right?
Your question will be after his.
Okay.
Oh.
No, that's fine, Joe. You can totally go.
thank you. So this plan here, just so I'm clear and everybody's clear, is this account for the 2 mills that you would be asking the voters for next year?
Yes, this does include us taking for a ballot issue a 2 mil dedicated road levy. If that does not pass, then we would have to go through and reconsider and look at adopting a different roadway asset management plan.
Okay, so this would be saying that this is us planning that we're going to pass a 2 mil increase.
This is us planning to go to the voters and ask them for authorization for that, yes.
Okay, now, for your plan for asking for this 2 mil increase, when are you
It's not her
targeting?
plan, it's our plan.
Well, okay, our plan to ask for this 2 mil increase, when would would it be a special election or a regular election?
It would either be, it would be a regular election, either in April or August of next year. It would start with community meetings, sitting down, doing education, talking to the community, homeowners associations, different organizations throughout the community, having them talk about what roads they feel are the priorities within the community, getting their support behind the plan, explaining to them why the 2 mills are needed, why the city streets need improved, really explaining what the condition of the roads are, how the decision was made, that the roads were in those conditions, and what the long-term plan is and how this is going to move forward and improve the roads within South Lyon.
Okay, so just a couple of additional questions. So if this is a regular election, there wouldn't be any added.
There would be no added costs, no,
Okay.
to the election.
And then I guess my last question is, what roads would this cover specifically? Would it be all city streets? Would there be certain subdivisions or condo complexes that would not be covered under this plan?
I've asked Tim to look into whether it is possible to include all city streets. That would include those that are currently private roads or not. That is something that we're still looking into the legalities of. Otherwise, right now, it specifically covers just the ones that are dedicated as city streets, which are ones that the city maintains, not ones that are covered and maintained by private homeowners associations.
And also, and also not your federal aid roads, like your major thoroughfares that you would get funding through other state and
Means.
federal.
Right. But most of the condo associations would be private and not covered.
Well, as I said, I've asked Tim to look into whether it's possible to include those in this.
Okay. Aaron?
Are you done, Joe?
Yes.
Okay. So there's still going to be another vote to put it on the ballot. That's not what this is.
No, this is just submitting this to the state,
Okay.
and then we would have to develop ballot language, which the council would then have to approve as to the actual language and the format of anything that would go on the ballot.
Okay. I was hoping in our last discussion that I was going to get more options than just this one. I thought I was going to get an option for a 2 mil and an option for if that 2 mil doesn't pass. I thought I was going to see multiple roadway asset management plans. I was under that impression.
That was not the impression that I left
That's not what we had asked.
Yeah, no.
That's what I thought we were doing, so that's fine. I'm good.
Yeah, and just from my side, just one last comment. I mean, I don't know if I necessarily feel that 2 mills is the best way to go. I mean, I would like to see us looking at other options before. I just feel a little uncomfortable with raising this much taxes.
What are the options? A bake sale?
Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, I got a comment.
Go ahead.
I was kind of curious, in the event that the state road funding formula changes and they come through with something that can perhaps approach some of the funding levels that had been prior to this gutting of Act 51, would we have to fulfill for the first 3 years before we could end up modifying what our our millage rate would be in the event that they approach those numbers. We might not be quite as needy to try to raise it locally. And could we respond to it in a more, a quicker method than waiting for the 3 years of the plan to be fulfilled?
By submitting this plan, it commits the city and locks the city into nothing. This is merely a plan, a roadmap to show the state you guys are thinking about your roads and you're planning ahead. You can change this plan, the funding level at any point in time. Goes, for example, the millage doesn't pass and you knock this down to 200,000, 300,000, because that's all the city has to spend. You make that adjustment, submit it the following year, you're good to go. Let's say there's a windfall comes through Act 51 and you get an additional $500,000 a year to spend on roads. You bump that 850 up to 1.35. You spend like crazy, get your roads up to a better quality. All you do is update that asset management plan, submit it annually, and boom, you're ready to go.
Okay, but it doesn't give us the ability to evacuate from the plan. I mean, once the millage is approved, we're obligated to that 850 for 3 years?
No.
Okay.
No, you can
All right.
change that any year you want to.
Okay, because I think that, we would be better judges rather than being force-fed, having to do that in
Sure.
the event that there was an opportunity to fund it some other way.
Correct.
All right, thank you.
And we can also discuss on what the road, like, say we're gonna do a road, whether we got the 2 mil or we don't have the 2 mil, we can discuss the actual work that's going on, whether we just overlay or cut it all down, or we still have
sure.
all those options.
All those options are basically what this plan does, the last page of this shows you the reconstruct dollars, the rehabilitation or the maintenance dollars that need to be spent to maintain this 4.0 rating on the PACER rating. It's a roadmap for you to spend money in those arenas. We're going to be back talking to you that here's what we're proposing to spend this year's 419, I think, is the first year proposing to spend on reconstruction. We'll be back to recommend, here are the streets we think we ought to be working on, up for you guys to approve or deny or make modifications. And that's where we're really going to find the devil in the detail, because everybody's going to have a different order of priority, and this should be done first, or this should be done first, or this is second, that's third. That's where we really get into the nitty-gritty with Bob, myself, likely Lynn, any other folks here, up here, or even in the community that'll have weigh in and have input on those of where
And
we
maybe
do.
we can get that 400 down to 300 or something like that.
Could possibly, or maybe
All
you
right.
want to spend more because it makes sense logistically. We can do a whole subdivision instead of leaving 1 or 2 streets undone. There's lots of options.
Does
Okay.
this would that devalue the value of that RoadSoft software, though? I mean, because I thought it was supposed to artfully get us to improve our things in the most efficient way possible.
It's scientifically intended to keep track of your roads in a numerical value. If you spend more, you spend less, all that does is just adjust the numbers going off into the future, so.
Thanks.
Okay, let's go ahead and vote on the motion to finalize roadway asset management plan. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Oppose?
Aye.
Okay, number 2, consider approval of the second reading, amendment to Chapter 38, Section 38-53 of the City of South Lyon Code of Ordinances. Chief?
That was the request by the 52-1 District Court as a housekeeping issue to add language to our existing ordinance to allow them to levy emergency cost recovery fees on behalf of the city. They'd been doing that for some time, but they needed a specific ordinance from all of the participating municipalities. This is the second reading. No changes were requested at the first reading, so we're at this time requesting approval of the second reading so that the ordinance can take effect.
I'll make that motion that we approve the second reading.
I'll support that.
Further discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Okay. Number 3, consider approval of funding for the city's portion of the traffic signal at Pontiac Trail and Marjorie Inn due to possible delay in Safe Routes funding until 2017. Lynn?
Okay, the City of South Lyon, along with the school district, Lyon Township, and the Road Commission have been working for several months on submitting to the state our application for funding for the Safe Routes to School grant. It was brought to our attention that the construction for our project may be bumped until 2017 construction season, and all of the parties that are involved believe that the most integral part of this grant is the signal at Pontiac Trail and Marjorie Ann, which is something that is part of the grant application, but it's not funded through the grant fundings because it is a traffic signal, not just a pedestrian signal. The grant committee is seeking the authority of all the involved jurisdictions to move forward with the design and construction of the stoplight in fiscal year 2016 as a result of the possible bumping out of the construction till 2017. I've included for the council a breakdown of the funding costs. The road commission will pay 1/3 of the cost of the traffic signal installation. The other 66% is divided between the city, the township, and the school district. The actual engineering and the ADA improvements that are needed for this traffic signal are borne by the city, the township, and the school district. And the total cost of the project is, forgive me, I don't have my reading glasses on, $225,868,000, of which the city's portion is $58,084.34. There really is not a substantial change in what it would cost us to do this outside of the grant because most of the funding is not eligible for funding within the grant. The signal itself isn't. The engineering for the signal is not covered under the grant. The only thing that would be covered under the grant costs would be the ADA improvements and that type of thing, sidewalk improvements right there at the signal. So that is what we're asking for from the council, is to move forward with this signal. It would be similar to the traffic signal up by the high school.
Okay. Harvey?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was looking at the second set of numbers on the spreadsheet that was given to us, and under engineering, it's a total cost of $27,972.50. And I broke that down, and the township share, according to these numbers, is 27%. The city's share is 40%, and the school share is 33%. Now, we discussed at this table several times that we're not willing to help pay for improvements to Lyon Township's infrastructure. So it looks to me like if you take a look at the bottom line, grand total, they're pretty even amounts for the school, the city, and the township. But clearly the engineering is skewed, and it looks like the engineering became a Wibbits line to the bottom line. A Wibbits line is acronym for whatever it takes to balance. There's a number of things, you know, clearly a number of these items are going to take place in on the east side of Pontiac Trail in the township. So, you know, I wonder why topsoil and surface, why there's $6,000 allocated to the city, when clearly there's going to be more work done on the east side than the west side. The same for sodding and seeding, and there are a number of others. There are also a number of areas in under the city match on that bottom spreadsheet where the city has zero obligation. And so it makes me think that the engineering was used to equalize it out to the 33, 33, 33. Can you speak to that?
I cannot speak to that. We did not have HRC. Our engineers do this. It was Lyon Township's engineers that did this. I do know that some of the engineering additional cost was supposed to have been contract administration because the city is the one doing administration. Why that line item is not more, actual traffic light design is more. I think that is probably a mistake on the part of their engineers, because the contract administration is supposed to be more, because the city is paying for the contract administration, because we're the ones responsible for administering this contract through, as part of Safe Routes, because we're the fiduciary agent, which would make sense to me why that portion of the engineering would be more for the city match than for Lyon Township or the school. But beyond that, I can't speak to why.
Just because, it seems to me that just because we're taking the fiduciary responsibility, that doesn't
Penalize.
require us to pay more.
Right, we should
That
bear
just
the
means,
cost.
excuse me,
Yes.
that means that we're being the responsible party for doing the administration of these contracts.
Right, but generally,
Now,
there would be more.
I'm sure that Lyon Township's engineers are smart people, and I'm sure that they can parse these down to, say, for example, how much soil is going to be needed on the east side of Pontiac Trail as opposed to the west side. These numbers are just, they just need to be reevaluated and assure the people, the citizens of the city of South Lyon, that we're not overpaying for this project, and we're not paying for infrastructure improvements to Lyon Township.
I can send it back to Leslie and ask her to reevaluate.
Thank you.
Did you have something yet, Mike?
You're gonna trump me on that one. No, I'm good. That's
Okay,
fine.
well, again, and then I'm still waiting for any kind of indication from Lyon Township that they're gonna put some sidewalks in.
Yeah, that's-
Right now, the kids are being funneled down the streets, and you can imagine with the snowbanks and so forth, they're gonna be walking in the street to get to this light. We're not gonna build sidewalks for Lyon Township over on their side of the street. And I've asked for this since this all began, and we're not hearing anything from Lyon Township. Maybe, I don't know, they probably don't see our meetings, but I think that needs to be presented to them. What are you going to do about getting the children from the school to the light? I don't care about they're talking about, well, they're going to put something along Pontiac Trail. That still doesn't funnel all those, the kids are still walking in the streets. And I don't think we should be approving something like that.
Ted, I do have, I'm
Okay,
sorry.
go ahead, Mike.
Lynn, has anyone else approved this? Has the school board approved this? Or is it we the first ones up?
We're the first ones up.
Okay. That's all I have.
This is for kids' safety, and that's not safety so far.
Well, I'll move to postpone this to our next meeting.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay, for discussion?
Yeah, actually, I would like to have some understanding. I mean, is this something we should have HRC look to validate their numbers rather than throwing it back in them to try to retool where things are? I mean, I'd hate to find that we're playing whack-a-mole with them sliding numbers in other places, and it's not actually a reflection of what the intent of this whole package had been. I mean, it was supposed to be, we're paying for our stuff, they're paying for their stuff, and the mutual benefits were being shared equally.
I've asked HRC to look at the overall grant application numbers, but I didn't ask them to look at this individual project set of numbers. I can have them look at this set.
I mean, I can't feature it taking a great deal of time for them to do a quick analysis of this.
No, I agree.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. All in favor for the postponement, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, discussion of the current status of Colonial Acres Phase 4 utility dedication.
Councilwoman Dixon asked me to put this on the agenda for discussion to bring the council up to date on the status of this. This came up after the Glen Meadows discussion last week. Phase 4 has been working with the city and Bob Martin on this issue for several months. They brought to the city copies of as-built drawings, which we turned over to HRC. HRC did a walkthrough and provided them with a punch list, which is what is necessary according to the city's policy. It is my understanding, in talking with Councilwoman Dixon, that they have engaged an attorney and are in the process of engaging a surveyor to develop the legal documents and the actual easement documents that are necessary. The fire department has gone through and looked at things. Their maintenance department has done work, and another walkthrough has been done by the city's Public Works Department and Bob Martin and his staff on several of the corrective measures that have been taking place. Do you have anything to add, Councilwoman?
No, I was just going to bring you up to speed about how it occurred, and if you don't mind. Over 3 years ago, when I was president of Phase 4, I was approached by the president of Phase 5 to join them in trying to get our fire hydrants and water mains dedicated to the city of South Lyon as Phases 1, 2, and 3 had done years ago. I agreed, and for about 2 years, I attended all the meetings at City Hall along with the city officials, our manager at the time, Dave Fredericks, and then our present manager, Karen Meadows. Then Phase 5 decided to hire an attorney as things were becoming too complicated. A little later, Phase 5 and the attorney contacted us and asked that we wait until their phase was accepted, as they would have to hire surveyors, engineers, and so forth, which would be very costly, and being much larger than us, we are only 9 buildings and 60 units, opposed to their 82 buildings and 400 units. So they were much financially better able to do this than we were, thereby saving us money and making it easier to dedicate hours. Karen and I talked this over, and with our board's approval, we decided it would be in our best interest to wait. So Phase 5 got their dedication, and we're still waiting. So for the past several months, as Lynn told you, I have been working with Karen, along with Bob Martin, the Water Department, Lynn, the city manager, and Tim, the city attorney, to get our dedication in progress. We have completed our checklist, and everything has been repaired. Everything is in order with the water department, the fire department. Things have been repaired if needed, and they are all in working order. We have now hired a surveyor, the same one who did Phase 5, and I think he did the whole entire Colonial Acre project, I'm not sure, and an attorney who are working together to get the last of the legal work finished. It was supposed to be done this evening, but the surveyor is backed up on his work, so we're just waiting to get his report to incorporate it in the legal work. And so I'm just asking on behalf of the senior citizens of the Colonial Acres Phase 4 that you keep this on the agenda and get it accomplished as soon as possible.
Nice job.
Okay.
Thank you.
Discussion item, so.
Yeah, anything else? Anybody have anything to comment on? Okay. So it sounds promising, actually, that you're pretty close. Yeah. They kick the leaves out of the way and get the survey done.
I want them to know that we haven't given up on this.
Okay, sounds promising. Okay, we're gonna move on to new business, accept the resignation of Keith McCormick from the Parks and Recs Commission.
Keith McCormick submitted his resignation to the Parks and Rec Board in early October, and so I'm bringing this to the council. I know the Parks and Rec Commission is actively seeking additional members, and once we have applications, obviously, the mayor will make his appointment.
Okay, so we need to at least
I'll move we
vacate.
accept the resignation with thanks for his service.
I'll support.
For the discussion. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Considering adopting a resolution recognizing Red Lion Youth Performance Ensemble as a local nonprofit organization for the purpose of attaining charitable gaming licenses, and we have a representative.
Hello.
State your name and address, please.
My name's Meredith Bailey. I'm the director of Redline Percussion. The address is 336 University Avenue. I'm here in hopes that South Lyon will recognize us as a 501c3 organization in order for us to do our poker fundraiser to support us throughout the season.
What day is the fundraiser? Sorry, Craig.
We have 4 different weeks. There's 1 week each month from December through March. Our season is October through April, so we do 4 weeks, and the members are the ones that work those.
This isn't a new concept for council to approve something like this. We've done this for other school organizations and so forth.
I move to adopt the resolution recognizing Red Line Youth Performance Ensemble as a local nonprofit for the purpose of obtaining charitable gaming licenses.
Support?
Any further discussion on that?
This is a real nice package that you guys have put together. I mean, it's very concise and the backgrounds and all that stuff. I was wondering now, the 4 fundraisers, are they going to be performance events for fundraising or simply
No,
gaming stuff?
Yeah, it's just the gaming stuff. I mean, we have a family friends show if anyone wants to come and see. That's another fundraiser, but no, our main income, I guess you could say, is from this. Yeah.
If anyone's interested in seeing Redline, they perform at the Winter Guard shows and the Winter Drumline shows all winter long. South Lyon's Percussion performs that as well.
Yeah, a lot of our staff and members stem from South Lyon. I myself have taught South Lyon percussion the winter and the fall program, so.
No, you did your homework. Good luck.
Yeah, Harvey?
Just to point out, the IRS has already approved your 50C3
Yes, sir.
application, right?
Yes.
Okay. And where are you going to hold your gaming events, do you know?
At Docks in Livonia.
Okay. That's a nice venue. American Legion holds their millionaire parties there as well. You'll
Okay.
enjoy it. Thank you.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Voila.
Congratulations.
Okay, now on to number 3 in new business. Consider adopting new athletic field court use application, permit policy and procedure, and set administrative fees for processing use permit applications.
Okay, the Parks and Rec Commission, with the assistance of Amy Allen of SLARA, have developed an application and permit policy and procedure and permit application documents for the use of the athletic fields and courts of the South Lyon Park System. The purpose of these documents is to provide for a defined and fair system for scheduling the fields and courts for use by the many organizations and individuals that seek to use them throughout the year. Due to the amount of administrative time associated with scheduling, changing, modifying, and adding dates to the existing applications, the Commission has added an application and modifications fee to the process. The documents have been reviewed and revised, approved by the city attorney. And I'm sorry, the one policy did not get included in your packet that I handed out right before the meeting that shows you the new policies and procedures. We do have Amy and a couple of the board members here to answer any questions that you may have about the applications, the new policies and procedures. It was the Parks and Rec Commission that decided to add the administrative fee and what those fees would be. So if you have any questions about those, they would be the ones that you would want to ask about those as well.
Ted?
Yes.
I have a question. I see that you're including, whoever I'm asking a question to. I see that there's Volunteer Park, McCaddy Park, are both included in here. The Volunteer Park is a DNR grant that funds that, and I do believe that they have stipulation in there for fee collections. Has that been looked at before this was all presented? I'm under the impression that there might be something with the, was any of the DNR grant people?
Heard of any DNR involvement.
Because isn't Volunteer Park DNR grant funded?
No, but To my knowledge, the city purchased that through land acquisition funds.
And there was no,
Land grant.
there was a
Land grant
land
money in there.
grant in there.
Yeah.
And I think it's a DNR land grant, and I think if it is, I think you have to read their bylaws. Just saying.
How much did we take, I'm sorry, but how much did we take on the bond for the purchase? I mean, do we pay the majority of it and then we got a grant from the DNR? Do we know how much?
But I know we had some grant in there, and I believe that's where the grant is from.
Because I know we're still paying on the bond.
I know the frontage on 8 Mile had been separated deliberately to not be in the grant money area, so that's all I remember.
Wow.
Well, the question is, the fees that they're looking at charging are not fees for the use of the park, they're administrative fees, and so those may be separate. We would have to look into that.
But it would have to be looked into.
Yes.
Yeah.
You all set?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay, I was just reading through this policy that we received before council about 5 minutes before. And it says that there will be a $25 application fee. I apologize, I just received, like I said, just received it.
Page 1.
Yeah, but my question is, would this apply also to outside organizations, let's say individuals? If I want to take my son and play baseball and there happen to be nobody on the field, would I have to pay an administrative fee?
If it's an actual reservation, we have the ability to charge a reservation fee, but there is the leniency to waive those fees with the intention that I was giving from the Parks and Rec Commission, that for individuals, one-time usage, that we'd be very liberal with waiving the fee. This is, the administrative fee is looking more to cover those long-standing reservations such as SLARA, Junior League, where they're booking 90-plus dates throughout the summer, so we're trying to schedule all of those and modify many times over the course of the season. So we
Okay.
would be looking at the administration fee for the bigger reservations.
So the big, okay, because that's what I wanted to get at, was because I know you guys have tons of teams, and there's,
Yeah.
that's why we need more ball fields, I guarantee. And
Absolutely.
that's why you're trying to put this in place, so we could try and make it more.
Yeah, we
streamlined.
didn't want to get too bogged down in language because specifying everything would
Right.
be very time-consuming, so there is that ability to waive that fee, and I was directed that every intention to do that for individuals are one-time usage.
Because what I don't want to do and want to avoid is, let's say I go with my son and some friends, and the volleyball courts are open and nobody's using it. I mean, I know they're used a lot of times, but let's say
Yep.
for free, or, volunteer, the caddy park, and we want to have a pickup game. I don't want to be in a position where I didn't pay my fee. and-
Absolutely, and this is specifically for a reservation or a permit application. It doesn't affect any usage. If you just want to go down there and play, you don't need to pay for play, kind of a thing going on. It's just for reserving that date. They can always, if they want to do a pickup game on a certain day, they can call our office, find out if the park is open at that time, and I can let them know to the best of my ability that as of that moment, it's open.
Okay, thank you.
Would city residents still be allowed to reserve it without a cost since they pay taxes in the city?
It would be the application fee that we're charging the $25, but as I said, if it's an individual, 9 times out of 10, that's going to be waived. That's what I was directed to do. Your best bet would be to call Amy's office to see whether the field or the park area that you want to use is free. She would have the master schedule of everybody who's reserved spots on the fields or courts or whatever. And if you wanted a pickup game or a family reunion or whatever, call her and find out if your date is open. Because if somebody else has reserved it, they take priority over a drop-in basis. But there's no kind of price break for versus resident versus non-resident as far as the administrative, that application fee. There's no actual fees associated with renting the space, so that's where I would see a taxpayer break, but there's no fee charged for that.
So let me, if I apologize.
Yeah, I'm still trying to think, go ahead.
So let me just take it for a hypothetical situation, since I actually was part of this, played in a kickball game, and I know they were trying to, there was nobody using the park at the time, and they were trying to get it, and it took some time to get it reserved, but there was nobody there. if I was, I'm sorry if I asked this already, but if I was to show up, let's say, not just me, let's say a whole team, would we be able to play without, if we didn't have a reservation?
As long as there's nobody else reserved on the field at that time, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Well, thank you. I just want to make the point that this is a fee for service, right? You're not making a profit.
No, it's an administrative fee,
It's an
absolutely.
administrative fee to pay for the paperwork to
Yes.
keep and red schedule and staff time and all of that, right?
Yeah, I presented some information to the Parks and Rec Commission about, because this is the first year that Solera's taken over the reservations, I presented them with the information of about how many emails, how many phone calls, how much time's gone into making the reservation calendar, updating it, changing schedules, and we've dealt with over 50-plus emails throughout the year, 25-plus phone calls, multiple changes in the reservation, so this cost very minimal in covering those fees, and we're looking at maybe 10 to 12 different times that the park is reserved on an ongoing basis, so we'd be looking at maybe 5 total administrative fees collected for an entire year.
Okay,
Exactly as it should be, thank
Yeah.
you.
I have a question regarding our Lisa, the gazebos that are leased by people for reunions and so forth, is that affected by this?
No, I don't believe so.
No,
I
this
think
is
that's
strictly
just
fields
the
and
sports
courts.
And
field.
then in that particular scenario, we charge a what fee to
We charge a deposit.
deposit, that's what I mean, to, in case there's a problem, we have something out of it, but if they clean up nicely and everything, they get their deposit back, and that is how much?
$25 for 25 people, 50 for up to 50, 100 or more is 100.
Okay. All right.
Mr. Mayor, a
We've
question?
kept one
Yes,
check.
Chief.
And I apologize if it's answered in the procedure pages, but I haven't seen them. It sounds like some of the enforcement of this, who has a permit and who doesn't, could ultimately befall the police department if there's a dispute over, well, I reserved a field, no, I reserved a field, well, I was here first. I'm wondering if there is in fact a procedure and a requirement that anybody that has the field reserved have the actual permit in their possession to show the police officer in case of a dispute.
I was gonna ask if you guys give them a document that says that we're reserved in that.
As we've gone for the last year, because as I said, this was our first year doing it, so we're working out a lot of the bugs in the system, I've told everybody that I've approved a reservation for. I send them an email confirmation and say, please take a copy of this with you when you go to your events.
There you go.
So, and I can continue to do that. It's not in the direct language in those,
On
that
behalf of the
paperwork.
police department, we want a signed document of some kind, an official document, not an email.
Okay,
When they give you the $25, you can give them a signed document.
absolutely. We can do that.
I think we still need to check on that grant issue. And I'd also like to see an area in here where you say the things that we've been told to waive. I mean, it's not that many situations, maybe you could just write them out there.
Okay.
Write them out there, but I'm going to move that we table this until we find out a little bit more.
Can Diane mention one thing?
Yeah.
In the procedure towards the end, there's that paragraph that describes the discretion given to the Solera director for waiving the fees. What I'm concerned about is if we start spelling out individual items, we will omit things or we will include things that it doesn't apply to. Having a general provision in there saying that at her discretion, the fees may be waived, I think might be the better way to go.
I don't know.
I'm not
It seems as though you're gonna
Yeah.
have how many things where you're receiving a fee? I mean, it sounded like a handful.
It was a handful, but we do have, and I'm just playing devil's advocate on this, then we have to spell out if it's a corporate company that's coming in for a company picnic, are we going to charge that? If it's an individual that wants to just play a kickball game with some neighborhood friends, are we going to waive the fee for that? If it's a party, a special event that's corporate, are we going to charge for that? There's a lot of
You're saying
different scenarios.
You would waive a handful of them?
We're saying a majority of them would be waived, but there are so many that can fall under that. To list them all out, as Diane said, there's going to be ones that are omitted.
Well, my point was that it sounds as though this isn't going to be a frequent occurrence to
No,
take any
absolutely
fee.
not.
So why on earth get mired in that language?
Yeah, why don't you, or maybe just if it's easier to do it the other way around, do it, these are the only ones we're charging.
We did discuss part of that too, and then it came into play if we try to, our goal and intention was that the reoccurring ones were the ones that we were going to charge the administrative fee. But if we lock that into a number and say, any reservation with over 10 dates, or any reservation over 20 dates, that organization could submit 10 dates at a time, numerous times to avoid that fee. We don't have language to stop that. And it snowballs from there. So if you have advice on that, we'd be more than open to hearing it. Those were some of our thought processes in trying to use this language and have it open.
If they're reoccurring, aren't they pretty much set, or you're suggesting that they change them on the fly during the course of their season?
Right.
We're charging one fee, application fee, for when they submit their chunk. And for an example, like Junior League, that may have 90 dates.
Yeah.
They're charging one fee. If they call to change those reservations, change times, or add dates, it's either a new reservation or there's a modification fee that's spelled out in that paperwork.
Does that happen regularly, though?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I was
Yes,
getting at.
sorry.
So the adjustability of this.
Yes.
So you are tied up time-wise.
Yep.
Okay.
In my opinion, I think it's always best to have more clarification than less. So if we're going to say, these people, an individual, let's say I'm just throwing out something hypothetically, less than 5 people want to have a pickup game. Me personally, I like to see that defined, saying that they're not going to be charged, because especially if we're going to have a permit, possibly police show up to be a referee here, it's better to have it all clear and as much information as possible, in my opinion.
Hey, Mike?
But I think the intent is, if you want to have just a pickup game, you just call and see if it's open. If it's open, you don't need a permit. You don't need anything. I think the intent behind this whole process was for the junior league or for volleyball courts to make sure that people that wanted to make sure they knew when their dates were had a system in place where those dates were guaranteed. And unfortunately, that takes a lot of time on behalf of it was a city, but now it's Lara to do that. And I think that's the whole intent behind this.
Correct.
It's not to charge everybody, it's just to charge
But that
those
should be
groups.
the language then.
Well, that's what I'm
Just have
saying.
the language driven by that, not by every event that might take place.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean, if you just clarify that,
Reoccurring.
maybe make it reoccurring or something like that.
You lost $25 3 times. I mean, it's not like you guys are shutting the doors because of that.
No, absolutely, but the point that we were discussing was, in order to limit it to just the reoccurring, we have to define what reoccurring is. And if we say it's requesting 10 different dates in one reservation, then an organization could say, well, I'm going to request these 10 dates, then I'm going to do a separate for these 10 dates.
So if the organization is using the same name for their organization, then clearly in a season, they're ultimately doing more than what if they're trying to get a loophole to save $25, first off, that's kind of troubling. But secondly, I mean, it's the same people coming to sign up. So, I mean, I don't think that that's going to be a difficult thing to reinforce the idea that you are exactly the people that we're speaking to on this language. I don't think that, I mean, can you see that being a difficult thing to, to present to somebody if the Little Leaguers are saying, okay, we're going to break it up in one event less than what the threshold is to have a permit fee? You're actually going
I'm
to
not
make
sure
more
I'm
money
familiar
by
enough
that.
with the amount of work and the number of organizations, but it does seem that my understanding is it's the leagues and the coordination of, and trying to avoid overlapping schedules at the same time for multiple sports using the same fields is taking the time, and I think the fee is just intended to offset the administrative time that's taken up in that. And I think the idea was to include a fee. I wasn't present for the Parks and Rec Commission meeting, but it's a standard fee for a permit reservation. I don't think that there are too many applications for permits or reservations except by the leagues or for special events that are larger and you need to be certain that the date's available.
Or those individuals, I want to make sure they have a field on a given day for a certain event, like family reunion.
Yeah, if you
I mean, if I want to make sure I have the field, I'll call Slar up pay my $25, and that's my field. But other than that,
Yeah, the
I
point
mean-
is $25 sufficient to cover the cost, and she has the discretion to waive it. I'm certain we could come up with a different way to word this if you want to hit just those leagues, but
I think
you know,
I
the
like,
idea
because
was
you,
to provide the discretion to waive it rather than try and create a patchwork where there, certain groups are and certain groups aren't, or who's in, who's out kind of thing.
but you as an individual who live in the city, you're only gonna do it once for a family reunion. If it's open, and you shouldn't have to pay the $25.
Yeah, that's what
Because they can set up a
That's
$25,
already
they
been-
can call, the league can come and say, I want 90 games, and they only have to pay $25 for their 90 games as long as they don't modify them. And you come in, a resident here, one-time deal, want to have a family reunion, you shouldn't have to pay that $25, that should be waived.
well,
And they
but-
have the discretion to waive it, but why don't we just make it a little clearer?
But the issue's gonna be, you could do it one of two ways. If I pay the money, I know I've got the field. I could take a, chance that the field might be open, but then it's first come, first serve. This way, I'm insured that the field's mine. And I understand
Still
what you're,
insured if you
I
sign up.
understand what you're saying, the $25 doesn't seem fair when you're doing it for
You could
90
give
or
them
1.
$25 If you wanted to, but you shouldn't be
You
obligated to.
you shouldn't have to, and you should be able to have that court if that field, if you call up and it's available. You should be able to have it, and they should be able to give you a little piece of paper that you can have for Chief Collins to say you have it.
Ted, as a point of order, wasn't there a motion?
I don't remember a second.
That's what I was getting at. And I would second, because I feel that there's. some
Okay,
more-
now we're on
Well, saying that we
discussion.
table it
Okay,
until-
now we're we got that table in second, and we're in discussion. I have something. For the benefit of our audience, SWARA is an acronym for South Lyon Area Rec Authority, and it includes Green Oak and Lyon Township. Now, is this going to pertain to the properties out there too?
No, we were asked to take over the city reservations for the fields and courts. So this is work that we're doing for the city. We've been doing it free of charge for the last year.
Okay. So you don't see it expanding to your authority over those areas then?
No, I do not.
Okay. All right, we've had a motion and seconded to table this till we can find out if the DNR is involved in this or not and so forth. So all in favor, say aye.
Hold on, I want to ask, is this going to goof up your schedule, your print of the program?
It's not going to be printed in our program. It's requests that I've had
Reference to it.
from organizations to get this new schedule out so they know what the procedure is going to be. As long as we can get something decided on by the next meeting, I don't see it being a big problem, but after that, groups will be calling.
Can't you just reference the fee schedule that's established? So you can still print?
Well, there's nothing that needs to be printed. It doesn't go into our brochure. This is just emailed out to past groups that utilize the parks and fields.
Good.
And in 2 weeks, you kind of work on a little bit on the wording.
Yeah, the next council or commission meeting is on the 11th, I believe, November 11th. So we'll meet again. We can discuss
Ninth.
changes there.
Ninth.
On the 9th, the second Wednesday, whatever that is.
Yours is 11th, ours is the 9th.
Yeah, our meeting will be on the 11th. That's when I'll be able to discuss this. The commission won't be able to make any decisions.
They're meeting before
Yeah.
ours, so we can hold.
You may have to hold off a couple meetings then.
Well, we can call a special meeting, and get our part of it done, and work with the attorney on revised ruling so that we can get it to you by the November next meeting.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Consider approval for the Cool Yule Parade and associated road closures. I heard a rumor they changed the name. Is that true?
I'm Kathy Swan, I'm the committee chair. The name is the Cool Yule DDA,
Okay, cool. Good.
and because the DDA did take over the parade
Okay.
and the Cool Yule event. What's being passed out right now is a flyer that wasn't added to the package, and that is everything that's going to be happening that day, from start to finish. Why we are here is for the parade road closures.
Okay. I'm just happy as heck to see you volunteers step forward like you
Yeah,
did.
by the way, this is Lynette, she's the parade coordinator, and this is Shelley, she takes care of the media and the Facebook and all that.
Great.
Awesome.
Because it was going to be a dead animal, and you brought it back to life, and we appreciate that.
I did it for my granddaughters. They've walked in it every year since its consumption. Any
And
questions, any
I'm sure,
concerns?
yeah, Chief, you're okay with this?
Police Department is more than fine with this. The route is the same as in prior years. It's the shortest of our annual parades. We can easily handle it with staff, and we're happy to participate. Recommend approval of the road closure.
Thank you.
Well,
Make a motion,
go
we
ahead.
approve the requested closures.
I'll second.
Am I looking at a different route than last year?
Nope, it's the exact same route.
From Whipple to Dorothy.
Whipple, yep.
Look at the yellow.
Okay, yeah, I see that. I was looking at the blue. It stood out more. Okay, I see it up there. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? You got it.
Cool, thank you.
Consider approval of the Kiwanis Club for use of Historic Village Depot grounds for annual Christmas tree sale event. And we're fortunate to have their representative here. And
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. Thank you. I've presented the request Kiwanis asks every year, and the council is gracious enough to allow us to use the park. I've attached an insurance certificate and hold harmless as required. And we're asking to use the park, the depot grounds, to sell Christmas trees as we do every year.
I have to ask you to say your name.
Oh, Philip Wiper, 135 North Warren. Thanks.
Thank you.
So every year we, since Showerman's closed and Farmer Jack's expanded, we've used the city park to sell trees, which the city's been nice enough to let us do. And we always clean up the park after we're done, and we do some improvements, and we're asking to do it again.
It always makes it look nice and festive over there, so, yeah. Well, I make the motion to
Harvey?
approve it. Oh,
I'll make the motion that we grant permission to the Kiwanis to hold their annual Christmas tree sales in McHattie Park, even though this application is awful early this year.
Support.
Supported by Bev.
We didn't want to miss it.
Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose?
Thank you very much.
The fragrance of pine will come back to town. Okay, an update from the Cable Commission.
Hi, Steve Kaukinen, 1120 Polo Drive, here to talk a little bit about our Cable Commission updates that we made over the summer. I have some counterparts with me here today as well. First of all, didn't want to necessarily drain the presentation you guys have here in the packet, but did want to highlight a few of the key points that we've been able to accomplish over the summer. First of all, we're going to be talking about advancing our capabilities. So right now, for those of you who are familiar with the current capabilities, it is pretty simple capability we have in back. So we're talking about being able to upgrade that kind of to at least to the 21st century, hopefully. Secondly, talking about a bit about how we get our community involved. Third, talking about how we've been connecting with the local businesses and organizations in the area. And then finally, we've also been listening to the community with our survey. So I'll cover the first part around the capabilities. Dan will talk a little bit about the volunteer program. I'll come back and talk about the content library we're setting up. And then Amber will talk a little bit about the survey results that we have. First of all, as far as upgrading our capabilities for our cable channel here in town, we have been looking around and talking to different software vendors for having a digital playback system. This system will be able to give us a lot better capabilities to be able to schedule our programs. We'll be able to run it much more efficiently, and also let the community know, from a schedule perspective, what's coming up, and much easier than just swapping out a DVD in a DVD player. We have gotten quotes from three different software packages: Synergy, MagicSoft, and MasterPlay. The intent right now, based upon the analysis that we've done and the cost, is to actually download a 30-day free trial of MagicSoft. That way we can demo the capabilities to allow you guys to be able to see it, to allow the community to be able to see it, and see how it functions and works within our current setup. The following pages are a little bit about the different comparisons we did across the different packages, as well as the hardware requirements necessary to run this type of playback system for the cable channel. Then the following page is about the different pricing assumptions that we have. Everything from the playback software, the recording software, the ingest card, the presentation software, a PC, and also proposed for a camera and tripod to be able to record different community events. So with that, I'm going to turn over to Dan to talk a little bit about the volunteer program.
Great job, Steve. Did you guys hear that? That almost sounds like it'd operate like a real TV channel. How about that? Dan Pelchat, 364 Stanford. And I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about the volunteer program we're going to try and get together here. And in fact, we have an open house on Wednesday. We'd like to welcome everyone out. I'll have cookies and punch.
Is that your house?
No, it's going to be right here. Throughout the year, dozens of interesting events occur across the community, ranging from elementary school plays to high school sports to city-sponsored events. This program would expose community members to the various needs of running an effective Channel 19 and to train individuals to record, edit, produce programs, provide technical operations, and prepare promotional materials through social media and presentation software that will appear on the city's Community Access Channel 19. A little bit more about the open house. The South Lyon Cable Commission is hosting a volunteer open house on Wednesday, October 28th, this Wednesday, at the City Hall from 7 to 8 p.m. Attendees will learn about the many opportunities to volunteer for Community Channel 19. Learning stations include recording events, learn how to use simple equipment, even your own phone, to create informational and entertaining video content. You can be the producer and the director. Creating programs, take video content and edit together a program in simple tools. Animation software, easy to use and fun tools to build fun and creative slides for the channel, for scheduling and Southline Rec and stuff like that. Digital playback, learn how to operate the channel that residents view at home. You can be the control room operator as well. So the volunteer workshop will be on Wednesday. We'll do the basic skills workshop and advanced videography and editing workshop. So hope to see you guys all out here on Wednesday. I'll pass it off to Amber. Back to Steve, sorry.
Back to me. Steve Kaukinen, 1120 Polo again. So again, it's great to have a volunteer program. It can't be just us trying to run this overall cable channel. It needs to be coming from the community. And the community, I think, is interested that Amber will talk about this in a little bit as well. We've also been reaching out to different organizations and businesses here in town to figure out what type of content that they would like to see on Channel 19 and what they would be able to provide. So we have been doing a fairly active outreach to them. We drew up a brochure to help them understand what Channel 19 is about, what they can contribute as well. And again, so you can see a listing here of all the different organizations that we have reached out to, as well as the different events we have here in the community that I think would be great to get on Channel 19 to, again, allow people who may not be able to participate firsthand be able to see what type of activities are going on within our community.
Amber King, 791 Westbrook. We've administered a survey over the past year to the community that people can fill out online or in paper copies that have been available here at City Hall. So far, we've had 71 people fill out the survey. And the analysis that we have so far from the results of that survey is that the reach is limited. We've got about a quarter of the residents actually have WOW Cable. When you look at the awareness of the channel, it's just over half of the people we surveyed, including those who don't have WOW Cable, but just over half are aware of the Channel 19. But interest is really strong in having a local channel promoting local events. On the last page there, you'll see the results of the survey. This is part of it, but like I said, you'll see 27% subscribe, and 53% said they are aware. But when we ask how important is it that the city provides a local TV channel showing city council meetings and local events and so forth, most people said it was very important to them. Those who have WOW Cable, 77% said it was very important, and even 55% of those who don't have it thought it was very important. So there is definitely interest in having a channel that shows local events. And on the bottom right, when we ask them what type of programs are they interested in seeing or do they like to watch, those who do have it and do watch it, City council meetings came in first at 82%. Community events like the Cool Yule and the Pumpkin Fest Parade and those sorts of things were next. Having a calendar of events so people know what's going on when. High school sporting events, school board meetings, those were some of the top hits is with regards to what people want to see. So there is interest. Knowledge about it isn't as high as we would like it to be, but there's definitely interest, and that's what we're working on gearing towards, so, thank you. Was there anything else?
Any questions?
Well, yeah, actually I do. What is the potential for some of this programming to be able to be available, like if the homegrown programming available on the internet? I mean, I understand that, we're driving our cable channel, but they're certainly compatible program-wise.
Yeah, Amber and I were just talking beforehand about, what are some other channels we might be able to get, such as web streaming and so forth. I know that packages, some are optional to be able to do web streaming directly from the playback system. Again, something we can look into, because again, there's only a limited number of people within town who have WOW programming.
Right,
And that's 25% of the people who responded, so it would be great to be able to extend that a bit more. So we'll continue to look into that as well.
I was also wondering, is the intent to have, like, say, our meetings, when they're generated, are they going to be direct to a hard drive, or is it still going to be burned in a wood disk?
It would be a hard drive. So basically, we'd create a content library with a whole bunch of content on it, and so you can just drag and drop your programming as you want, just kind of like a simple GUI interface.
All right.
And I just wanted to add with regards to your first question, Glenn, we do have a Facebook page for the channel, and so one option would be to put videos there, sort of like what you guys are doing on the South Lyon page, and we could do it there as well. We do
That's what I was wondering, if, I don't know we're supposed to be reconfiguring our internet, our homepage, but I don't know where that is, and I don't know what kind of capacities are necessary for that too, so,
But that would be another option we would look into.
yeah.
Joe. So I was happy to see that there's Cable Commission, you're going to get some new gear. Can you kind of take us through what that's going to entail and how that's going to benefit you as a commission?
Well, like we kind of said, it's going to actually operate like a real channel now. We'll have a schedule, which is nice. Unfortunately, we did find out that we thought we were going to have a PC that would help us be able to run this. Unfortunately, that PC is not going to be able to help us do much of anything, just based on the horsepower of that machine. So I think Rich has done a great job of putting together a total package of us being able to get this in under budget. And now, as far as programming and stuff, that's going to take a little bit of time. But I mean, this thing's going to operate like a real television channel once we get it all in place. And then that's where we're going to need some help, hopefully getting some volunteers operating the channel. So we're very excited. I think, if you would have told us we'd be this far a year ago, I think we would all tell you you're probably full of it. So, so we're excited, and I'm really gonna take it upon myself to try and drum up some fireworks for this Wednesday. We want to get as many bodies out as we can. Whether it's from the Boy Scouts to the church groups to whatever. I mean, this is the community's channel, and the more stuff we have to put on it, the merrier, especially as soon as once we get it up and running.
Thank you.
Have you guys solicited the labs at both of the high schools? Have you?
Yes, I've dropped off volunteer sheets at both buildings, and actually, we're very hopeful that both of the buildings want to be very much involved.
Yeah, we always thought that would have been a natural incubator for, people to want to grow into this channel, so. Beautiful.
Do you have anything you want to add, Carl?
No, I'm going to be a volunteer with our group, and I hope it all works, okay?
Awesome.
I'm pledged that I was going to diligently look for a proper replacement for myself, someone who has knowledge of graphics, programming, splicing, all of those kinds of things, and digital, and a high level of electronic competency. and flat out better eyesight than I've got. Okay, and probably younger, okay, but somebody that's a little bit better suited for the future of the cable station, then I can benefit them, okay? But I can still be a volunteer, okay? And I hope I can, and, you know.
Do you guys have a feel for how long it'll be before you submit your, to purchase?
We're a little shorthanded tonight, and our fearless leader, Rich Perry, had a scout thing kind of pop up last minute. He's really the one, he keeps me wrangled in. I would tell you tomorrow, but, you guys didn't cut me the check, so that's probably for the best. So
We've
Rich,
been champing at the bit since July, that's when our budget kicked in, so.
The 30-day the free download we'd like to do ASAP, because for Wednesday's volunteer event, we'd like to have that ready to demo to everyone. We have downloaded on Rich's personal computer some of these software packages, so we hope to have one of Rich's other personal PCs to be able to operate from, to be able to show that off. So over the next 30 days, we hope to really be able to have content start to be uploaded on that, and be able to set it up and be able to connect it into the system here to be able to start downloading. So again, definitely within the next 2 to 3 weeks that we'd actually have something running more actively.
Okay.
A lot of that comes down to content as well. So as I talked about before, have enough content to play, because there's only so many city council meetings you can play over and over again, and so many football games you can play over and over again. So content also goes hand in hand with getting that up and running.
If this software goes south, do you guys have a second pick?
Well,
it's not going to go south. But also, I'd like to add that we had kind of counted on there being a PC that we could try this software out on over the last 30 days up to this point, and that wasn't the case. So now Rich is putting it on his own machine. That's what's been the delay lately. Plus, also, we didn't want to jump into, let's buy the cheapest software here, looking forward to possible growth. If WOW forces our hand to go from SD to HD programming, we want to make sure that we can make that jump as well. Just don't want to jump into something here and then kind of paint yourself into a corner.
Is the high memory what's costing that computer to be so high?
Yes and no. I mean, yes, because you want to get good stuff and you want to get enough horsepower, and you don't want to buy the cheapo brand at Costco. So, right, we're trying to process, where do we want to start, how much money do we want to spend on a PC that's going to be old in a year anyways? We just need to be able to make sure that we can add to it if needed, so.
But these won't run on the current machine that's in there?
No, that's correct.
That thing probably won't run Word.
I can throw in, you listed off some of your possible projects, such as high school plays and so forth. You've got to be careful of copyright
Correct.
laws.
Absolutely. We're
I
fully
learned
aware
that
of
in
that.
all my years of doing it. You've got to be very careful of not infringing on that.
That's why we have not seen quite as much possible programming from the high schools, is because of that. That is copywritten material. So, but hopefully pep rallies, cool stuff like that, obviously all the parades. Like I said, we're looking for volunteers. It can't just be us five trying to run this channel, as much as we'd love to be a part of it. So hopefully we get some people out here that are interested. I'll show you how to shoot it, and we'll show you how to edit it, and we'll put you on TV.
I sure hope it snowballs. It seems like it'd be really appealing
I think
to
it's going to
kids,
catch on
yeah.
really good, Glenn.
Okay.
Nice job, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah,
and
good
gals.
seeing you guys.
Great meeting so far, by the way.
Thank you for what you guys do, too. And gals. Okay, consider the agreement between the City of South Lyon and South Lyon Community Schools for the operation of Senior Citizens Program.
This is an annual allocation that the city does every year. It's normally paid in 2 lump sums. The city just got this agreement from the school district this month. That's why you're seeing this now instead of earlier in July, when we would normally have gone, because it is a fiscal year allocation. The fiscal year for 2015-2016 for the city of South Lyon is $42,003. That is our share of the $79,251 for the running of the senior program, which covers Lyon Township, Green Oak Township, and the city of South Lyon.
It's all driven by numbers of participants, so, I mean, it's formula. I make the motion, we approve the agreement.
Sorry.
That's okay, you can have that.
Further discussion?
I'm
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, discussion regarding city policies regarding organizational chain of command and absence of city manager.
This was brought to the agenda after Councilman Kivel suggested it at the end of last council meeting due to my absence for health reasons. The city obviously does not have a written policy other than what is stated in the city code or the city charter for appointing someone to act in the city manager's absence or unavailability. We don't have a formal written policy or a informal policy for appointing someone, so wanted to bring to the council the opportunity to either designate a department head as an assistant city manager that would act in the city manager's absence, or to adopt a formal policy designating someone as the interim city manager whenever the city manager, whoever that person is unavailable or out of town.
Well, I think that you're perfectly capable of making that determination myself, that the only time the charter would be employed would be in the event of an emergency. We could have an emergency meeting, and in the interim, the mayor could end up taking any legal action that was absolutely necessary. This was, I don't want to make more of this than what it really is, but you had more than ample time and forewarning of what your schedule was and the necessity of having somebody in place to field the questions of urgency. Your voicemail hadn't been changed, nobody in the office. There was 2 department heads that weren't even aware you were going to be out. So I would like to make sure that that never happens again, and I don't know what exactly we need to do outside of that statement for corrective action measures, but it's not like you can practice, setting that up. But nonetheless, I would like to see that. I'd like to see it in your jacket that that was a failing, because I think that that was actually real. There was an awful lot of wonder what was going on, and the idea of, especially in light of the thing with Chad and all that kind of stuff, there was a great deal of wondering exactly who the go-to person to try to move things forward or stabilize that situation and to field questions coming from the public or from Chad or from Witch's Hat, so like I said, I don't want to make a big deal of it, but nonetheless, I think that it was a huge oversight that, although it was temporary, it put us kind of in a bind for a bit. So that's my 2 cents worth.
Okay. Anybody else?
I think even if you're going on a seminar for the day, it doesn't hurt to put I get those all the time. I send people emails, pops back,
Yeah.
hey, I'm out of the office. If this is important, contact so-and-so. If it's not important, I'll be back this day. That's the minimal. That's easy.
Right. And the
Okay.
complication was that you weren't available by regular communication things, your phone or email. You weren't responding, so that further complicated the situation. I think had that not been the case, it probably would have been a non-event, but that was the case, so that made it more difficult.
Understood?
Yeah.
I guess from my side, my concern is that this happened the first time as well. So, there was a lot of confusion as to who was responsible, and thankfully Chief was able to step up and help us out in a very tough situation, so glad we got through it.
In her defense, I was sure she was as well, that she thought it'd be a short amount of time, and it got extended on her, and so that at that point, as you know, I went ahead and reinstituted what you folks passed in February to appoint the chief to fill in until she was back. So it did get done, but again, it went into the week that she thought she'd be back. So, all righty. I guess we're looking for a manager's report now.
Manager's report. This week, Kelly McIntyre, our new Community Development Director, will be starting. She has finally passed all of the background checks, and we've finished everything with the police department. She will be starting this week as our Community Development person, and we are definitely looking forward to that. Attended the CDBG workshop for the city last week. Looking forward to submitting that application, so you will be seeing that coming before you. That application is due in December. The Downtown Trick or Treat event that the DDA sponsors is this Thursday from 6:30 to 8:30. The road closures are from 6 to 9, so please be aware of that and watch out for the trick-or-treaters in the downtown and make sure that you participate if you would so like, or you have children that would be interested in participating. We also have our last farmers market this weekend. It is also the last farmers market that Mary Navraki will be our market manager. She has resigned as the market manager, so if you have an opportunity to get out to the market, make sure you stop in and say hello to her and thank her for her service to the market. A new manager has been hired and will be negotiating a contract with the DDA moving forward in November, but Mary has been working to train him thus far, and so we look forward to the market continuing to be successful going forward. The DDA is very excited about sponsoring the Cool Yule moving forward, and at that, I have no other issues. I'll turn it over to the council.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, first I wanted to ask, why is attendance necessary for CDBG? I mean, that just seems absurd.
Oakland County requires that if you're going to apply for the CDBG grant, that you attend the workshop.
We do it every year. It goes to the same place. It's not a mystery what's going to take place. I mean, for
Actually,
heaven's sakes.
you're not required for the monies to go to the same places.
We are, because we only have one place that it's actually fits the qualifications.
Actually, we don't. It's my understanding, and speaking to the directors of the CDBG program, that under Rod Cook's reign, the city used to spend its CDBG funds on
Well, we had a
different
qualifying
priorities.
quadrant at that time. We don't
We
any
actually do
longer.
have two qualifying quadrants.
Wow, well, the last 2 years, we've been told that the only place that it's actually fits that plan was at the senior center.
No, there are two qualifying quadrants in the city. One is in the northwest section. It covers the apartment and condo developments by between 11 Mile, not quite to fully include all of Colonial Acres, Evergreen Development, and Southridge condos.
Huh.
The other is in the area that includes Southline Woods Trailer Park.
Now, that makes sense. The other one doesn't make any sense as far as economic stuff.
Affluency, yeah.
But both of those are quadrants that are marked as qualifying CDBG areas, according to the map that was given to me at the workshop last week.
Huh, well, it's a good thing that you attended.
I saw that coming.
Yeah, because I mean, the narrative has been that we have
Egg
no quadrants left
unfold.
anymore, so.
No, there are two quadrants within the city. I've actually asked the county to look at,
We're not going to do anything with that, though, in those places, are we?
well, I've actually asked them to look at whether all of Colonial Acres is included in that, because there are some projects that we could potentially do to help the residents of Colonial Acres if all of Colonial Acres was included in the CDBG qualifying quadrant. So,
That senior center seems like the logical place for, as far as I'm concerned. Well, okay, last time I had, Bob's not here, so I don't know if anybody else fielded it, but and John Booth is left, so we had that $1,060 for HRC to have done engineering services on the Dorothy parking lot.
that was the work that they did in coming up with the estimate for the resurfacing, and when the council asked us to come up with what it would cost to redo the parking lot at Dorothy Street.
Wow. So it's, yeah, $1,000 to do that. I'll tell you what, it makes that, that crossing light, you know, all the engineering costs that are in there, I mean, you might want to take note of that, Harvey. All
Why
those,
me?
all the, because you were questioning about some of the engineering costs and how much dirt there was and all that, so it won't get cheaper by asking those questions. That's all I had, thanks. That wasn't a slam on you, I'm just saying that the engineering on everything, when we have to have that level of engineering, the prices go up.
Aaron?
I was surprised our planning commission meeting got canceled. Why was that canceled this month?
There was no, the second meeting, there was no agenda items.
They weren't gonna talk about food trucks?
According to both Tim and Carmen, there was not enough time to put together the information between the council meeting on Monday and when the packets would have to go out on Thursday for the planning commission packets.
Oh, bummer. Don't we usually have to approve trick-or-treating for our city? Isn't that usually an agenda item?
Oh, the hours.
The hours, isn't that usually something that we have to do, trick-or-treating's, what, Saturday?
Thought we carte blanched it the last time.
I thought last
I think it was
year.
a few years ago that we had said
So we just
that
decided on
2-hour
that? Okay,
window.
I just
Yeah,
wanted
we-
to make sure that we didn't miss those. And then, why did I write that down? I wrote something down that I have no clue what it means anymore. Did tech support get your voicemail working again?
Yes, they did.
Okay, was anybody else having problems? That's kind of weird.
No, they weren't. They could not figure out what the problem was because I got 2 emails right before that, and as soon as you called, I got off the phone with you, and there was another voicemail in my mailbox.
Huh,
So I'm
that's
not sure
weird.
what the problem was.
Our voicemail was just showing full. And then, I know what it means. The new girl that's working, she's part-time, is she gonna have floating part-time hours, or is she gonna have regulated office hours?
She's going to have regulated office hours. Kelly right now is planning to work Monday through Thursday, I believe 9 to 3.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, Joe.
Yeah, I don't know why this bothered me so much, but hearing that it was over $1,000 for the estimate on the Dorothy parking lot, it just kind of rubs me the wrong way. I mean, I understand we asked for a proposal, but I would think that we give them hundreds of thousands of dollars. That out of professional courtesy, they could give us some sort of an indication and say, hey, this is what it's going to cost without, charging us an arm and a leg.
Courtesy
So-
might be that it's going to be 4 or
Excuse me,
5,000.
I'm still speaking, please. So I was just a little taken back by that. Also, I happened to be in Eagle Heights subdivision a week, not this past Sunday, but the week before that, and I witnessed some workers working in the Oakland 40 on a Sunday, which is in clear violation. So my understanding is the police were called. I don't know if a ticket was issued or not, but if they're in violation, I would ask that we address that appropriately. So, also, downtown trick or treat, I'm really looking forward to seeing so many people then. I know that's going to be a great event for our community. And also, I'm glad to see that the Cool Yule is going on, and appreciate the DDA stepping up to take care of that, take that on. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Harvey?
I think enough has been said tonight. I'll pass. Thank you.
Mike?
I just need to do a quick shout out to two South Lyon Panther teams that are playing for the Livingston County Junior Football League Championship this weekend. They are South Lyon Freshman Blue and South Lyon JV Black. They're playing at East this weekend, so I just wanted to congratulate them. Thank you.
Good deal.
Bev?
Everybody have a great and safe Halloween.
Yeah. Thank you, Bev. Thursday is the business Halloween downtown. Is that 6:30 to 8:30?
6:30 to 8:30.
And we are closing the streets in the old DDA, but it's still or downtown area, but it's actually, there's going to be a lot of them beyond that, Browns and McCaddy Center, and I don't know if Phil Weipert's doing anything or not, he usually does. And there's several of them down there, Mo's Shop, I know he sets up quite a display there, and different things. So you'd be looking, it's this whole strip through there is going to be the Halloween trick-or-treaters that come out by the thousands. I don't like the forecast. It looks might not be wet, but it's going to be windy. And so we wish the best for them on that. And also want to thank all the candidates that are running for election next week. If you don't step forward, nobody does it, and it's a credit to those that did step forward and do that. And with that, I would like to call for adjournment. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That ends this meeting of approximately 1 hour and 31 minutes.